The night was quiet. The streets of the small town were empty, and only the soft sound of crickets filled the air. A man walked slowly, holding the hand of his little daughter. His name was Daniel. His daughter Emily was only 7 years old, but she loved to walk under the stars with her father. Daniel had worked all day. His face was tired, but when he looked at Emily, his heart softened. She was his light. She was his reason to keep moving forward after his wife had passed away 2 years ago. Tonight, Emily smiled up at him, pointing at the sky. "Dad, look. The stars are so bright," she said. Daniel nodded. "Yes, Emily, the sky is clear tonight." But suddenly the stars above them didn't look normal. A strange light streaked across the sky. It wasn't like a shooting star. It moved slowly, almost like a ship. The light flickered, and then it disappeared behind the dark forest near their town. Emily gasped. "Did you see that, Dad?" Daniel frowned. "Yes, but that wasn't normal." His heart beat faster. He had seen strange reports on the news, rumors about ships, about alien visitors. But the government always denied it. Emily tugged on his arm. "Can we go see, Dad?" "Please?" He hesitated. Something inside him said it was dangerous, but Emily's eyes were filled with curiosity. Against his better judgment, he nodded. "All right, but stay close to me." They stepped off the road and entered the forest. The air was cold and the trees stood tall like shadows. Daniel held Emily's hand tight as they followed the faint glow between the trees. The ground smelled of smoke, and the closer they walked, the stronger it became. Then they saw it. A broken escape pod lay in the middle of the clearing. Its metal was scorched, smoke rising from its sides. Sparks flashed, and the air smelled of burning wires. Daniel froze. His breath caught in his chest. "Dad," Emily whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "Stay behind me," Daniel said quickly. He didn't know if something dangerous was inside. Then from the shadows something moved. A small figure stumbled out of the pod and collapsed onto the ground. Daniel's first thought was that it was a child. But when he looked closer, his eyes widened. The figure had pale blue skin, faintly glowing, and her hair shimmered silver under the moonlight. Her eyes were large, almost too large, glowing faintly with golden light. She looked weak, her tiny body trembling. Emily gasped. "Dad, she's a little girl." Daniel's heart raced. This wasn't possible. This was an alien child. His mind screamed at him to run, to take Emily away. But his daughter broke free from his hand and rushed forward before he could stop her. "Emily!" "No!" Daniel shouted, but Emily knelt beside the alien girl. The child looked at her with wide, frightened eyes. Emily reached out her small hand and whispered, "Don't be afraid. I'm Emily, you're safe." The alien child blinked, her lips trembling. She made a soft sound, almost like a cry. Her body shook as if she was too weak to stand. Daniel finally stepped closer. His instincts told him this was dangerous. If the authorities found out, they would arrest him. The galactic law was clear. No human may hide or help an alien life form without permission. People had disappeared for less, but then he saw it. The alien girl slowly raised her hand and held Emily's fingers like she was begging for safety. His daughter looked up at him, her eyes pleading. "Dad?" Emily whispered. Her voice trembled but was full of hope. "Can she stay with us, please?" "Can she stay forever?" Daniel froze. The word stabbed his heart. His daughter had asked him for many things before. Toys, books, stories. But this was different. This was dangerous. This was life-changing. Before he could answer, a sound broke the night. The low hum of engines. Daniel's head snapped up. Through the trees, glowing lights appeared. Search drones flying low, scanning the forest with sharp beams of light. Someone was looking for the crash. Someone dangerous. The alien child whimpered and tried to hide behind Emily. Her golden eyes were full of fear. She knew those lights were searching for her. Daniel's chest tightened. He had a choice. He could walk away now and protect his daughter from danger, or he could take this alien child, risk everything, and bring her home. The searchlights grew brighter, sweeping closer. The hum of engines filled the forest. Time was running out. Emily clutched the alien child tightly, her eyes wet with tears. "Dad, don't let them take her." Daniel's hand shook. He looked at his daughter, then at the alien girl. His mind screamed no, but his heart whispered yes. The forest filled with the sound of drones. A beam of light passed just a few feet away. If they didn't move now, they would be caught. Daniel finally made his choice. He grabbed the alien child, lifted her in his arms, and whispered to Emily, "Run. Stay close." Together they hurried through the forest, away from the searchlights. His heart pounded, his arms heavy with the strange child, but his steps were strong. He didn't know what the future held, but in that moment, one thing was certain: the alien girl was now part of their lives, and nothing would ever be the same again. The night was still dark when Daniel, Emily, and the alien child finally reached their small home. Daniel's breath was heavy, his arms aching from carrying the strange girl. Emily's tiny footsteps stumbled beside him, but she refused to let go of his sleeve. As Daniel closed the door behind them, the silence of their little house wrapped around them. For a moment, everything felt safe, but Daniel's heart was still racing. He pressed his back to the door, listening. The faint hum of drones passed by outside, their searchlights sweeping across the street. He didn't dare breathe until the sound faded into the distance. Emily, however, looked at the alien girl with wide, shining eyes. The child was still trembling. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark, casting a soft blue light on the walls. Her golden eyes darted around the room like a frightened animal. "Dad?" Emily whispered. "She's scared. She needs us." Daniel rubbed his forehead. He knew his daughter's heart was too kind, but kindness could destroy them. The law was cruel, and the punishment for hiding an alien was not small. It was death or exile. He knelt down in front of Emily, speaking softly. "Listen to me, Emily. We can't let anyone know about her. Not the neighbors, not the school, no one. Do you understand?" Emily nodded quickly, clutching the alien girl's hand. "I promise, Dad, I won't tell anyone. She's my sister now." Daniel froze at those words. "My sister." The alien child blinked as if she understood. Her lips parted and she whispered something in a soft, broken voice. The words weren't human. They flowed like music, gentle but strange. Emily tilted her head. "What did she say?" Daniel shook his head. "I don't know, but I think she's trying to speak." The alien girl touched her chest weakly and repeated one word, slower this time. "Ari, Ari." Emily's face lit up. "Dad, that must be her name." Daniel wasn't sure, but when the child repeated it again, looking straight into his eyes, he nodded. "All right, Ari, you're safe here, but only for tonight." His voice was firm, though his heart wavered. Emily pulled Ari to her room and began showing her dolls, books, and toys. Ari sat on the floor holding a doll with wide eyes, as if she had never seen anything like it before. Her small fingers traced the plastic face gently, almost with wonder. Daniel stood at the door watching. Something inside him shifted. His daughter was laughing softly for the first time in months. Since her mother's death, Emily's smile had been fragile, but now with Ari beside her, it glowed bright and warm, yet danger lurked outside. That night, Daniel stayed awake. He sat by the window, a cup of cold coffee in his hand, staring into the street. Patrol drones hovered in the distance, their searchlights crossing roofs like watchful eyes. He knew they were looking for Ari. The question was not if they would come, but when. He turned his gaze to Emily's room. Through the small crack of the door, he saw both girls asleep. Emily had curled up beside Ari, holding her hand tightly as if afraid she might disappear. Daniel whispered to himself, "What have I done?" The next morning, sunlight crept through the curtains. Emily woke first and ran to the kitchen, her face glowing with excitement. "Dad, Ari likes pancakes," she shouted. Daniel nearly dropped the frying pan. "Emily, keep your voice down." But when he looked at the table, he froze. Ari sat quietly, watching Emily's every move. She didn't eat like a human, but when Emily gave her a small piece, Ari touched it gently, then placed it on her tongue. A soft glow passed through her skin, and for a moment the bruise on her arm faded as if healed. Daniel's eyes widened. She's not just different. She's powerful. He stepped closer. "Ari, what are you?" The girl looked at him with golden eyes full of sadness. She placed a hand on her chest and whispered in her soft voice, "Home. Lost." Emily leaned against her. "She doesn't have a home anymore. That means she can stay with us, right?" Daniel didn't answer. His mind was torn. If they kept her, danger would fall on their family. But if they gave her up, she might be taken back to the cruel place she had escaped from. Later that day, Daniel went to buy groceries. As he walked back, he noticed two men in black uniforms speaking with a neighbor. Their badges gleamed with the mark of the patrol. His stomach dropped. "Strange light seen last night," one of them said. "If you notice anything unusual, report it immediately. A fugitive may be hiding here." Daniel forced himself to walk past calmly, but inside his chest was on fire. They were already searching the neighborhood. When he returned home, Emily was playing hide-and-seek with Ari. The alien girl was laughing softly, her voice like music. For the first time, she seemed like a normal child, but Daniel's face was pale. He pulled Emily aside and whispered, "We don't have much time. They're searching the neighborhood. If they find Ari, we're finished." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "Please, Dad, don't let them take her." Daniel's jaw tightened. He looked at Ari, who was standing by the window, staring at the sky with a lost expression. Her small frame, her trembling hands. She was just a child. And in that moment, Daniel made a silent promise. He would protect her, no matter what it cost. The house was quiet, but Daniel could not rest. He sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at the clock on the wall. The hands ticked slowly, yet every sound felt like a hammer striking his chest. Outside, the hum of patrol drones came and went. The entire town was on alert. He rubbed his face with both hands. His thoughts kept circling the same question. What should I do? In the next room, he could hear Emily's gentle laughter. She was showing Ari how to draw with crayons. The alien girl's glowing fingers moved carefully across the paper, leaving strange patterns mixed with Emily's childish flowers. The sound of their giggles floated through the air, but to Daniel it felt like a knife. They were happy. But happiness came with danger. If the patrol found out, his daughter would lose everything, and it would be his fault. That night, when Emily fell asleep, Daniel stood in the doorway of her room. Emily was curled around Ari like a protective shield. The alien child was awake, however. Her golden eyes looked directly at him. Daniel whispered, "Why did you come here? Why did you have to crash in my life?" Ari tilted her head. She did not understand all his words, but her expression was full of pain. She touched her chest again and whispered the only thing she knew in broken English. "Home, lost." Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to shout at her, to tell her that she was destroying his family's safety. But when he looked at her small, fragile body lying beside Emily, his anger dissolved into silence. He closed the door gently and went back to the kitchen. He poured himself a glass of water, but his hands shook so badly that it spilled across the table. He remembered the law clearly. Anyone hiding an alien would face prison or execution. His daughter would be taken away, his home destroyed. But then another memory struck him, his wife's last words before she died. Protect Emily, no matter what. Would protecting Emily mean handing over Ari to the patrol? Or did protecting Emily mean protecting the new sister she had already given her heart to? The next morning, Daniel tried to distract himself with normal life. He dressed Emily for school and gave her breakfast. Ari watched quietly from the corner, her golden eyes following every move. She copied Emily's gestures, even folding her hands as if she wanted to belong. But when it was time to leave, Emily refused. "I can't go, Dad," she said firmly. "Ari will be alone. What if the patrol comes?" Daniel knelt down, forcing calm into his voice. "Emily, you have to go to school. If you don't, people will notice. If people notice, they'll start asking questions. And we can't let that happen." Emily's lip trembled, but she nodded slowly. She hugged Ari tightly. "I'll be back soon, I promise." When she left, the house fell silent again. Daniel turned to Ari, who sat at the table looking at him with unreadable eyes. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Finally, Daniel sighed. "You don't belong here. You don't understand how dangerous this is." Ari lowered her head as if she did understand. She whispered softly, "Stay safe?" Her voice was weak, but the word cut into Daniel's chest. He could not reply. That afternoon, a knock came at the door. Daniel's heart leapt into his throat. He opened it slowly and his blood turned cold. It was a patrol officer. The man wore a black uniform with the shining emblem of the Galactic Council. His eyes were sharp, scanning every corner behind Daniel as if searching for secrets. "Good afternoon, citizen," the officer said firmly. "We are investigating strange activity last night. Did you see or hear anything unusual?" Daniel forced a calm smile. "No, officer. Just a quiet night." The man's gaze lingered. He stepped closer, his boots heavy on the wooden floor. Daniel's heart pounded. If Ari made a sound, if she moved even once, they would both be finished. The officer walked to the window, peering out at the street, then turned back. "If you do see anything at all, you are required to report it. Do you understand the punishment for silence?" Daniel's throat was dry. "Yes, sir. I understand." The officer stared at him a moment longer before finally leaving. The door closed with a heavy thud and Daniel collapsed into the chair, his body trembling. From behind the curtain, Ari slowly stepped out. Her golden eyes looked guilty, almost apologetic. Daniel covered his face with his hands. "This can't go on," he whispered. That night, Emily returned and saw the stress on her father's face. She rushed to him. "Dad, please don't be angry. Ari's good. She's not dangerous. She just needs us." Daniel looked at his daughter. Her eyes were filled with hope, with love. Then he looked at Ari, standing small and silent in the corner, her eyes begging for a place in their world. The war inside his heart grew louder. Logic screamed, "Give her up. Protect your family." But another voice whispered, "This child is already family. She belongs here." Emily suddenly hugged him tightly. "You always tell me family means forever." "Doesn't it?" Daniel froze. Those words hit him harder than anything the patrol could say. His own daughter was teaching him what it meant to be human. He closed his eyes, pulling her close. For the first time, he let his heart speak louder than his fear, and deep inside, he knew his choice was almost made. The following days passed like shadows moving across the walls. Daniel tried to live as if nothing had changed, but inside, his heart never rested. He worked during the day, came home at night, and always expected the patrol to knock at his door. But while his fear grew, Emily's joy bloomed. Every evening she played with Ari as if they had been sisters forever. They laughed, whispered secrets, and even drew pictures together on the living room floor. Daniel often stood in the doorway, torn in two. He wanted to believe this was normal, but nothing about Ari was normal. One night his doubts were confirmed. It began with a broken toy. Emily's favorite doll had fallen from the shelf and cracked open. Its head had snapped off and the wires inside its voice box spilled out. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she tried to fix it, but the pieces didn't fit back. Daniel was about to say, "We'll buy another one," when Ari quietly crawled closer. Her golden eyes studied the broken toy with unusual focus. Then she placed her glowing fingers on the doll's cracked surface. A soft hum filled the room. Light spread from her hands, weaving through the broken wires like threads of gold. Slowly, the doll's pieces pulled back together. The wires reconnected, the voice box repaired itself, and the head snapped back into place as if it had never broken. Emily gasped. "Dad, did you see that?" Daniel's blood froze. His eyes locked on Ari, who sat quietly, her hands trembling. The doll in Emily's arms was whole again. "That's impossible," Daniel whispered. Ari looked up at him with fearful eyes, as if begging him not to be angry. She pressed her hands to her chest and said softly, "Help, fix." Emily hugged Ari tightly. "She healed it, Dad. She's special." Daniel's heart pounded. Special? No, this was dangerous. If the patrol learned about her powers, they wouldn't just take her away, they would use her. They would turn her into a weapon. That night, after Emily had gone to bed, Daniel sat in the kitchen again. The doll lay on the table, perfect as if brand new. He stared at it for hours. The image of Ari's glowing hands burned into his mind. He muttered to himself, "What else can she do?" But his thoughts were cut short by a noise outside. The sound of heavy boots. He rushed to the window and peered through the curtains. Patrol officers were walking door to door on the street. Their scanners buzzed with blue light, checking for signals for energy traces. Daniel's chest tightened. "They're getting closer." He turned quickly, but his heart nearly stopped. Ari stood in the doorway of the kitchen, her glowing eyes fixed on him. She looked scared, like she could sense the danger outside. Then she raised a small finger to her lips. "Quiet," she whispered. Daniel nodded slowly. He dimmed the lights, and together they waited in silence as the patrol scanned the house next door. The officers stopped in front of Daniel's home. The scanner hummed, flashing brighter. Daniel held his breath. His body shook. This is it. They'll find her. But suddenly the scanner flickered, its blue light sputtering out. One of the officers cursed, hitting the device. The other shook his head. Faulty again. "Let's move on." They left. Daniel turned to Ari, stunned. She stood quietly, her little chest rising and falling quickly. For a moment he wondered, had she done something to the scanner? But before he could ask, she walked back to Emily's room and curled up beside her like nothing had happened. The next morning, Daniel couldn't shake his thoughts. When he brought Emily to school, he noticed whispers among the neighbors. People were talking about strange energy signals and illegal refugees. The air was heavy with suspicion. On the way home, Daniel bought food at the market. As he paid, the shopkeeper leaned closer and said in a low voice, "Careful, Daniel. The patrol is looking harder now. They say something dangerous might be hiding here." Daniel forced a smile and left quickly, but his heart was in chaos. When he returned home, Emily ran up to him. "Dad, Ari made the plants grow?" "What?" Daniel asked sharply. Emily pulled him to the backyard. There, near the old garden bed, Daniel saw it. Flowers blooming brightly, though it was not their season. Ari stood nearby, her hands glowing faintly, her face calm but tired. Daniel's knees almost gave out. "She's not just a child, she's something far more powerful." He grabbed Emily's shoulders. "You can't tell anyone, do you understand? No one must know." Emily nodded quickly, but her voice was firm. "She's not dangerous, Dad, she's kind. She just wants to help." Ari stepped closer. She reached out her hand, touching Daniel's arm lightly. Warmth spread through him, calming his panic for a moment. She whispered again, her voice fragile. "Safe. Family." The word family broke through his defenses. For the first time, Daniel saw not an alien, not a danger, but a child who only wanted to belong. That night, however, he couldn't sleep. He stood at the window, staring at the patrol lights sweeping across the sky. Ari's powers were too obvious, too bright. It was only a matter of time before someone noticed. And then the real fear struck him. What if Emily said something by mistake? What if her innocent words exposed Ari to the wrong ears? Daniel's heart pounded. The world outside wanted Ari as a weapon. His daughter wanted her as a sister. And he, caught between them, realized the truth. The day was coming when he would have to choose. The morning started quiet, but Daniel could feel the weight of danger pressing down on him. The air outside was heavy, as if the whole town was waiting for something terrible. Emily sat on the floor, braiding Ari's silver hair with ribbons. The alien child smiled faintly, her golden eyes glowing with gentle warmth. To Emily, this was just another morning with her new sister. But to Daniel, every second was a risk. He could no longer ignore it. The patrol was closing in. That afternoon, as Daniel returned from work, his worst fear came true. 2 black patrol trucks rolled slowly down the street. Their engines growled and armed officers stepped out, their armor glinting in the sun. Neighbors peeked from their windows, whispering nervously. Daniel's chest tightened. He quickened his steps. He had to reach home before the patrol knocked on his door. When he opened the door, Emily rushed to him. "Dad, they're outside." "What do we do?" Daniel's mind raced. He looked at Ari, who stood quietly in the corner, clutching Emily's doll. Her eyes were wide with fear. She knew they were here for her. "Pack your bag, Emily," Daniel said quickly, his voice shaking. "We're leaving now." Emily froze. "Leaving?" "But no time!" he snapped. "Go!" Within minutes, Daniel grabbed food, water, and blankets. He wrapped Ari in a large coat to hide her glowing skin and silver hair. She looked even smaller now, almost like a shadow hidden in fabric. Emily clutched her father's hand, her other hand holding Ari's tightly. Then came the knock. Boom, boom, boom. The heavy sound rattled the door. "This is the patrol. Open immediately," a voice shouted. Daniel's heart stopped. He whispered, "Back door, now." He pushed the girls through the back exit and into the narrow alley. The moment they stepped out, search drones appeared above, their lights sweeping the street. "Run!" Daniel yelled. The chase began. Emily's small legs pumped as fast as they could. Ari stumbled, unused to running, but Daniel scooped her up in his arms. His heart thundered as they darted through dark alleys and abandoned streets. Behind them, the shouts of patrol officers echoed. "There, stop them!" Blue lights lit the night as drones swooped low, scanning with sharp beams. One beam brushed Daniel's arm and the scanner shrieked. Sirens wailed. "They've locked onto us," Daniel cried. Bullets of light fired from the drones, striking the walls, sending sparks flying. Emily screamed, but Daniel kept pulling her forward. They reached the crowded market square. People screamed and scattered as the patrol charged in, weapons raised. Daniel ducked into the chaos, weaving through the frightened crowd. Emily clung to his coat. Ari buried her face against his chest, trembling. "Dad, they're going to catch us," Emily sobbed. "Not if I can help it," Daniel growled. His eyes darted around, searching for an escape. He spotted an old service tunnel near the back of the market. It was half-hidden, rusted, but big enough for them to slip through. "This way," he shouted. They rushed inside. Darkness swallowed them, the sound of boots and drones echoing close behind. Inside the tunnel, Daniel's breath burned his throat. His legs ached, but he kept running. Emily's sobs echoed in the dark. Ari's small hand clutched his coat, her golden eyes glowing faintly in the pitch black. The patrol's voices grew louder. "They're in the tunnels. Block every exit." Daniel's chest tightened. Trapped. He stumbled to a stop, his mind spinning. There was nowhere left to run. Emily hugged Ari protectively, crying. "Dad, don't let them take her. Please." Daniel's eyes burned with tears. He wanted to promise her safety, but he had nothing left to give. Then something happened. Ari stepped forward. She pressed her small glowing hands to the tunnel wall. The stone began to shift, glowing lines spreading across it like veins of light. A crack opened, an escape path forming before their eyes. Daniel stared in shock. "She's opening a way out." The patrol's shouts drew closer. Flashlights glared from the corner of the tunnel. "Go!" Daniel shouted. He grabbed Emily's hand and pushed her through the glowing passage. Ari followed, her body trembling from the effort. Daniel crawled after them just as patrol officers stormed into the tunnel behind. They stumbled out into a dark forest on the other side. The night air hit Daniel's face like cold water. He looked back, but the glowing crack sealed itself, vanishing into solid rock. For the moment, they were safe. Emily collapsed on the grass, gasping for air. Ari sank beside her, exhausted, her silver hair sticking to her face. She looked pale, as if using her powers had drained her strength. Daniel knelt, his chest heaving. He pulled both girls close, his arms trembling. "You saved us," he whispered to Ari, his voice breaking. "You saved my family." Ari looked up weakly, her golden eyes shining with tears. "Family," she whispered back. Emily hugged her tightly. "See, Dad? She belongs with us." Daniel closed his eyes. For the first time, he admitted it. Not to Emily, not to Ari, but to himself. He would not give her up. Not now, not ever. But as the forest grew silent, Daniel knew the chase was far from over. The patrol would not stop. They would keep searching. They would hunt them across the stars if they had to. And the next time, the price might be even higher. The forest was quiet, but Daniel's heart would not slow down. His arm still shook from carrying Ari through the chase, and Emily clung to him tightly, her small body trembling from fear. The night smelled of pine and smoke, and in the distance faint sirens echoed like ghosts. They had escaped for now. But Daniel knew it was only a matter of time before the patrol found them again. He built a small fire from dry sticks, the flames casting soft light across the trees. Emily sat close to Ari, wrapping her in a blanket. The alien child looked pale, her golden eyes dim like fading lanterns. She had used too much energy to open that glowing tunnel. "Dad," Emily whispered. "She's tired. Can you help her?" Daniel stared at Ari. He had no idea how to help. She wasn't human, her body didn't work the same. But when Ari met his gaze, something passed between them. Not words, not language, but a plea. She wanted him to listen. "Why are they hunting you?" Daniel asked softly. His voice was low, almost broken. "What are you, Ari? What secret are you carrying?" Ari hesitated. Her hands trembled as she pressed them to her chest. Then she looked at Emily, then at Daniel. Her voice came out weak but clear. "Power. Heal worlds." Daniel frowned. "Heal worlds?" Emily's eyes widened. "She can fix things. Like my doll. Like the flowers, but bigger, Dad. Maybe she can fix more than just toys." Ari nodded slowly. Her glowing hands reached out to touch the ground. Where her fingers brushed, the dying grass turned green again, alive with color. Daniel's breath caught. He stared in disbelief. This child, she could restore life itself. Ari's golden eyes filled with tears. She whispered again, broken words spilling out. "They want me, use me, weapon." Daniel's chest tightened. It all made sense now. The Galactic Council didn't just want her because she was different. They wanted to control her gift. They wanted to turn a child's healing into a weapon of war. He clenched his fists. Rage boiled inside him. "They would use you like a tool?" Ari lowered her head. Her small shoulders shook. Emily hugged her tightly, her voice fierce for such a small child. "They can't have her. She's ours now. She's my sister." Daniel stared at his daughter. Emily's words struck him harder than anything else. She didn't care that Ari was different. She didn't care about the danger. All she cared about was love. But Daniel's mind was still a battlefield. If he kept Ari, they would never stop running. Emily would never live a normal life. Yet if he gave Ari up, Emily's heart would break and Ari would be lost forever. The fire crackled. Daniel looked into the flames, remembering his wife's last night, her hand cold in his. She had whispered, "Protect Emily, protect her heart." Now he realized what that meant. Protecting Emily wasn't just about keeping her safe. It was about protecting her ability to love, to care, to see hope where others saw fear. He turned to Ari. "I won't let them take you." Ari's eyes widened. She whispered shakily, "Family?" Daniel nodded, his voice strong for the first time. Family, but their moment of peace shattered quickly. A sudden buzz filled the night. Daniel's head snapped up. High above the trees, search drones swept the forest with white beams of light. "They found us," he muttered. Emily clutched Ari. "Dad, what do we do?" Daniel grabbed the blanket and threw dirt over the fire, smothering the flames. Darkness swallowed them again. He pulled both girls close, pressing them against the ground. The beams passed overhead, slow and sharp, scanning the forest. For a moment, Daniel thought they were safe. But then a drone froze midair. Its scanner flashed red. "Target detected." A mechanical voice echoed. Ari whimpered, burying her face in Emily's chest. Daniel's heart pounded. They couldn't run fast enough this time. Not through the thick forest. The drones would catch them in seconds. But before panic could crush him, Ari suddenly stepped forward. Her small frame glowed brighter, her golden eyes blazing with fierce light. She raised her hands and the drone's red scanner flickered. The machine stuttered, buzzing violently before spiraling out of the sky and crashing into the trees with a fiery spark. Emily gasped. "Ari, you destroyed it." But Daniel saw the truth. Ari hadn't destroyed it. She had healed it wrong, forcing its circuits to twist against themselves. Her power wasn't just for healing. It could change, reshape, and even break things, and that made her even more dangerous in the Council's eyes. The forest fell silent again, smoke rising from the wreckage. Daniel knelt beside Ari, who had collapsed to her knees, exhausted. He touched her shoulder gently. "You can't keep using your power like this," he whispered. "It's killing you." Ari looked at him with weak eyes, but her lips curved into a small, tired smile. "Safe, Emily." Daniel's heart broke. This child was willing to risk her life for his daughter. He pulled both girls close. His voice trembled, but his words were firm. "No matter what happens, we stick together, always." Emily hugged him tight, whispering into his chest, "I don't care about the Council. I don't care about the law. We're a family now." Ari's small hand reached out, resting against Daniel's heart. Her glowing fingers pulsed softly, and Daniel felt a strange warmth spread through him. Not fear, not pain, but hope. But deep inside, Daniel knew the truth. The Council wouldn't stop. They had seen the signal. They had tracked the power, and soon it wouldn't just be drones, it would be soldiers. It would be ships. And when that day came, Daniel would have to make the hardest choice of his life, fight for Ari as his daughter, or lose her forever. The forest did not stay silent for long. The broken drone smoke rose high into the night, a beacon calling its masters. Daniel knew it was only a matter of time before more came. He pressed Ari close, her glowing body weak against his chest. Emily held Ari's hand tightly, whispering comfort. But even Emily's brave words could not erase the fear in her eyes. "Dad," she whispered, "they'll never stop, will they?" Daniel shook his head slowly. "No, not until they take her." But then he looked at Emily, then at Ari. His jaw tightened. "Not while I'm still alive." Hours later, the forest lit up with bright light. Ships descended from the sky, their engines rumbling like thunder. The trees bent under the wind as soldiers in black armor poured out. The patrol had arrived in full force. Daniel's heart hammered. He could run no longer. This was the end. He hid the girls inside an old cave, wrapping them in blankets. Emily clung to him, tears in her eyes. "Please, Dad, don't leave us." He cupped her face. "I have to protect you. Stay here. No matter what happens, stay with Ari." Ari's golden eyes shimmered. She reached for him with trembling hands, whispering one word. "Family." Daniel's throat tightened. He kissed Emily's forehead, then stepped out of the cave, his fists clenched. The soldiers surrounded the forest clearing, their weapons glowing blue. At the center, a tall figure emerged, the patrol commander. His silver mask gleamed, his voice deep and cruel. "Citizen Daniel," he boomed, "you are guilty of hiding a fugitive alien. Hand her over and your punishment will be light. Refuse and your family will suffer." Daniel's body shook, but his voice was steady. "She's not a fugitive. She's a child." The commander's mask tilted slightly. "She is property of the Galactic Council. She was made to serve. You have no right to keep her." Daniel stepped forward, his voice rising. "She is not property. She is my daughter." Gasps rippled through the soldiers. The commander's tone turned sharp. "Your weakness blinds you. She is dangerous. Her power can heal or destroy. In the wrong hands, she is a weapon of mass war. Do you understand what you protect?" Daniel's fist tightened. "I understand she's just a little girl who wants a family, and I won't let you take her." The commander raised his hand. "Very well. Then you will die with her." Soldiers stepped forward, weapons aimed. The night exploded with blinding light as energy blasts tore through the trees. Daniel dove behind rocks, his heart pounding. He had no weapon, no armor, only his determination. He fought with what he could, throwing stones, striking with fists, using the shadows to dodge. But he was only a man against an army. A blast struck the ground near him, throwing him back. Pain shot through his body, his vision blurred. From the cave, Emily screamed, "Dad!" Ari rushed out, her small frame glowing brighter than ever before. She raised her hands, golden light pouring from her palms. The soldiers' weapons sparked, bending, twisting like broken toys. The forest floor bloomed with sudden life. Flowers and vines shooting up, wrapping around the soldiers' legs. The men cried out, trapped, their weapons useless. Daniel pushed himself up, staring in awe. "Ari?" Her body glowed like a star, her silver hair flowing in the wind. Her voice rang out stronger than ever. "No, hurt. Family." The commander stepped forward unshaken. His mask glared like cold steel. "Child, you cannot stop me." He raised a massive weapon glowing with deadly light. But before he could fire, Ari stepped in front of Daniel and Emily. Her golden glow expanded, forming a shield of pure energy. The blast struck it with a roar, but the shield held. Daniel grabbed Emily, pulling her close. He shouted at Ari, "You'll kill yourself." "Stop," but Ari shook her head. "Protect family." Her glow spread wider, brighter, until the entire clearing shone like a rising sun. Soldiers stumbled back, shielding their eyes. Trees bent and cracked under the power. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. His daughter's voice rang out beside him, small but fierce. "Please, Ari." "Don't leave us." For a moment, the glow softened. Ari turned her golden eyes toward them. She smiled weakly, whispering, "Stay." "Forever." Then the light exploded outward. When the glow faded, silence fell. The soldiers were gone, retreated or unconscious, tangled in vines. The commander's mask lay broken on the ground. His body vanished into the shadows. The forest was scarred but alive, glowing faintly with strange energy. Daniel stumbled forward, searching desperately. Emily ran beside him. "Ari, where are you?" They found her lying on the grass, her glow dim, her breath shallow. Daniel fell to his knees, cradling her small body. Emily sobbed, clutching her hand. "Ari, please." Daniel whispered, tears running down his face. "Don't leave us. You're safe now. You're home." Ari's golden eyes flickered open. She looked at Emily, then at Daniel. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Family," she whispered. Then her eyes closed, her glow fading to a soft shimmer. The forest was silent once more. Daniel held her tightly, rocking her gently, his tears falling into her silver hair. Emily pressed close, whispering through her sobs, "She's my sister. Forever." Daniel kissed Ari's forehead. His voice was broken but strong with love. "Yes, Emily, she's ours. No matter what. The galactic law might never forgive him. The patrol might return. But none of that mattered anymore. Because in that moment under the stars, Daniel knew the truth. Family was not about blood. Family was about love. And love was worth breaking every law in the galaxy.